everybody. Welcome. This is our second session of the day. I am G. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Storefront. We are the front-end as a service solution and head in the headless world, bringing customer experience together. Super looking forward to this discussion today. And with me, I'll let you guys introduce yourself. We can start with Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan Jacobs, Country Manager with Actindo Headless ERP.
That was brief. Nicely done. Chris McCann. I'm with Contentstack. I am head of sales regionally, and also have a background at Commerce Tools, where we brought that product to market in the U.S.
Perfect. So let's start off, and let's start probably with top of mind for everybody. Given the economic climate, is now the right time to change for the enterprises? Chris?
It sure feels that way. We'll go back in time, because you and I worked on this together at Contentstack, and it was April of 2020 when HPE came to us, and it was a consultant at the time, where this individual wanted to capitalize on the printables division, because all of a sudden we had coworkers, we had children, we had parents, we had partners that were all crammed into a small space, and largely everyone had these dormant printers, right? They just kind of sit there and collect dust. So the consultant at HP went from notion to motion, and how do we turn the printables division into curriculum or coloring books or even mandalas for these folks that now have a very busy home office? This individual has been promoted twice since then. And they went live with Contentstack in 49 days. And the uptick that they saw year over year in the refillable ink cartridges was 8.5%. They're on Adobe. Could they have done it with a more traditional platform? Certainly. But it would have taken an awful long time. It would have cost them an awful lot of money, and they may have missed out on the market to take advantage of a global market condition that was unique, and that may hopefully be the one time in our lifetime that that happens. And this individual was promoted twice, and now they run marketing in all of EMEA. So this MACH architecture, this infrastructure, this composability, it allows for people to make their mark and tell their story. And it's no longer a moonshot like it was 7 years ago. Yeah. Right? This is now a best practice that's accepted by the analyst community, very forward thinking, and folks that want that flexibility, that adaptability, and no matter what happens globally, they have the ability to react and get their message out fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree, and especially actually when the economy slows down, a lot of companies actually are in a good position, right? And it's time to innovate. What we've seen is just that maybe focus has moved a little bit more towards the user experience side in terms of like what are the projects. And the good news is for that is that those are something that can be deployed pretty quickly with Composable. So yes, this would be probably the right time to look at that, and what's the closest to money for the customers, for enterprises, for whether retail or other industries, right?
Yeah, it was remarkable. It was across 60 countries, and they had 6 million visitors in the first 50 days. It was incredible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if anybody's wondering, we think it is a good time to do it. Let's keep on rolling on. So for those that have done it, and especially there are always catalyzers, right? People that are moving, people that are kind of up forefront thinking, and they have already done these implementations and these composable. You're kind of talking one example. What kind of benefits are they reaping now?
So with us, to give you some background info, we started back in 2007 from Germany, and pioneering ERP on the cloud. And at first, our approach was monolithic. And it was in 2019 when our leadership decided to pull the handbrake and kill the monolith. And we then redesigned everything to be headless and composable. And this is why we are the first MACH certified headless ERP. And the benefits are mainly for companies because it gives them the control to orchestrate and to orchestrate best of breed technologies, and it gives them the power to actually choose the technology they want. And the beauty of the platform is as well, they can just simply add and delete solutions they want, and this is key to stay competitive. And another benefit is that we always encourage our customers to always look for MACH certified solutions. And for example, Adyen is now part of the Alliance, and we are pretty happy about it, and we're not surprised because we have several occasions where we recommended them to our customers, and together we had really amazing success. And IT departments of, for example, Captain & Son, a leading fashion company in Germany, they were amazed by the speed of the deployment. And that's the benefit of MACH, because instead of being theoretical about being agile, it helps companies to put it into practice. Yeah.
Gee, what's your perspective?
Well, certainly, I mean, what I've been watching lately has been on the front end side and the customer experience, and the just absolutely kind of the speed at which not only deploy, but you can test, right? One of the things that a lot of the enterprises these days are looking at is just testing new waters, testing new markets, trying to find new sources of revenue. And that is entirely possible, and really the promise of Composable. So that's where we're seeing a lot of companies and multi-brand companies really looking at how to continue to push their business. We've seen those that have implemented typically conversions of their customers going up by, on the mobile side, even by 100%, by revenue going up by 5 to 20%, which is significant. Those are the numbers that really add up really quickly. So I think they're reaping a lot of the benefits, and between the speed and also on the customer experience, right? The loyalty that comes with it.
Yeah.
So what about you, Chris? Anything to add?
We were in the trenches together, certainly. And the one thing that we had a challenge with at Commerce Tools early days and bringing that product to market, and this is again, before this was an accepted best practice, was how, okay, great, I get that this is a bag of Legos and we have APIs and we can construct our own solution. Because Oracle had sunsetted, or were sunsetting ATG, there was no longer supported, Hybris has challenges, and they no longer wanted to be encumbered by these older technologies, and they wanted technological freedom. And so we'd sit in these meetings and like, okay, this is fantastic, it's great, I get it, but the benefit of going with a more traditional software company is I know who to pick up the phone and complain to. I have one throat to choke, if you will. And I believe you were instrumental in this, in helping to build out the MACH partnership at Contentstack. Was what sort of partnerships can we develop with select MACH Alliance organizations where we support each other, right? And well, maybe there's not, a memo of understanding, and it certainly isn't the same piece of paper. If something were to happen with Actindo, if something were to happen with Storefront, and there's an API that's misfiring, our teams are going to support each other. So they could call G and her team, they could call Dan and his team,
Exactly.
and know that we're taking care of you. So it still gives you the flexibility in a composable environment, but it also forces us as technologists to make sure that our offerings are best of breed. If they don't like Contentstack as a CMS and we're not performing, they can replace us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting in that now that it's a best practice that we can take care of each other. And also from a API performance perspective, right? And being able to solve for the technologists, one thing, and you built this out and helped us sell it, was mission control. And that if there's an API that's misfiring, no matter what the source is, we're going to take care of that. And it certainly has happened with organizations that are doing billions of API calls a month. So having built out that level of support, it holds us all accountable, and then it forces us and encourages us to work really well together.
Yeah. And that actually does bring me to another question. You kind of opened it up, so let's dig a little bit deeper into this, because I think it's the something that is often asked, and rightfully so, right? So you have this composable and MACH, but it's kind of complex, right? It can be, a lot of moving parts, a lot of vendors. Sometimes costs can balloon on that. So, what are some of the ways, right, to de-risk that, to reduce the risk of moving to a composable architecture, right?
Well, I would say there is no risk if you use an orchestration platform, and because in the end, there are many moving parts, and you need to have one single source of truth, and you also need a 360 overview of your entire business, and this is the key to achieve real unified commerce, and there are also benefits that come with it too, because when you have a clear overview, you have a clear understanding which of the microservices are performing well and which aren't, right? So, and you can improve in a better way, and so at the same time, I like to always also compare it with the human body. Because in the end, we even have moving parts and microservices, and it's all orchestrated through our brain. So if my leg, for example, breaks, it doesn't mean that my breathing functionality will stop, or my eyes, I won't turn blind. So then I can fix it. I can go to orthopedic and fix it. And it's stateless and stateful, and is sophisticated engineering. And I think that when it comes to cost saving, you actually save more. Why? Because you can invest in specific functionalities. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're composable.
Yes, we are.
No, you personally.
Yeah.
Yes, you stole definitely the top of mind thought for myself, which is, of course, the orchestration piece, right? So that's been our quest at Storefront, right? Is to actually make composable easier, to orchestrate all of the services on the front end, because that's where they come together. And from a technological perspective, that certainly is one area that is key, right? Because it is, the front end is getting more and more complex, for sure. Yes. There's more flexibility, which is great. But if we don't really take care of that complexity, right, then there's going to be that cost-benefit analysis that may go the other way too much. So I think that's certainly there, and orchestration has been, I think, top of mind for the industry and for MACH overall. Yes. But then you touched a little bit, Chris, on the service side, right? Is working with all these vendors together, right? And how do we show up? How do we show up for the customer?
Yeah, and it's not to ignore the role that consultancies, agencies, SIs, whichever bucket we want to put them in, actually play. Yeah. Right. And what we've seen, and this has certainly been true for like Lego, Burberry, Express, I mean the organizations that we were involved with, is that do you want someone or a team that's specifically responsible for being experts in a content management platform or a DAM or payment or PIM or front end? Or would you rather have those folks hyper-focused on working on the business and solving business problems? And in doing so, right, in bringing in an agency or the bucket, they're the experts. They can provide thought leadership. They can work through data modeling. They can work through content modeling. And of course, we're training the organizations on how to best support, the CMS or the other ancillary product. But it allows for the experts to be experts, in their particular function in the business. You don't have to support AEM. You don't have to support Sitecore. You don't have to support ATG or SAP Hybris or WebSphere or any of these more ancient technologies. And we've seen, and certainly from the Contentstack side and from the Commerce Tools side, that you're able to publish content 90% faster than you were on a more traditional platform.
Yeah.
Forrester recently did an analysis of our business and talked to our customers, and what they've seen is a 295% total economic impact on their business. They're publishing content 90% faster, and I'm sure that you're seeing very similar results, both of you, and it's proven, right? The analyst community accepts this. And in a way, we talked about the composable Dan, it's also, from a human side, it's allowing for folks to modernize their own skill set.
Yeah.
They don't have to support technology where it's irrelevant. I remember walking into Express when I was at Commerce Tools, and they had an entire building filled with ATG people. And these folks put their kids through college, right? They worked on things that were important to them, and change is scary.
Yeah.
But when we began to talk through how this is future-proofing their own career, and it's putting them out there, and if not on the bleeding edge, and certainly the cutting edge of this technology, they got it. They're future-proofing their own careers and keeping themselves relevant. And that's the human side is not to be lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And actually, there was a saying. I'm sure some of you heard of this. The saying goes as follows: like you won't get fired if you buy this and that product. That goes for legacy IT. And that was like 10 years ago. And I think in the near future, we will hear this about MACH certified products. Yeah.
Yeah,
Certainly.
absolutely. And what I also have seen is speaking of de-risking, right, and kind of making this, working with a lot of different providers complex, I have really seen the composable solutions coming together in early on, and actually when speaking with customer. And that's been something that's really has driven success kind of in that, showing up together, actually working as one, not just from a technology perspective to a point, from a people perspective early on, to help understand the problems, to help architect the solutions and so on, as a team across. And I think that's something really unique, and something that Alliance especially has created, this community where it is perfectly normal now for us. I somehow don't even think about it, to call the colleagues from different, say, we need to prepare for this for this customer. And then on the flip side, after the fact and the customer support, we see this a lot too, because again, we're kind of on the front end of your storefront, and there are a lot of moving parts indeed. The questions often do come to us first, and because we actually all know each other's systems, we do help answer, or we also connect together. So I've seen that evolving kind of on the front end and on the support side, where we're just kind of starting to naturally work together as a community and making it easier for a customer. And that's what I've seen the winning strategy for the customer, right? Because people buy from people. So at the end of the day, right?
That's why
whatever
we're called,
team.
Yeah, that's why we're called the coolest tech club in town,
Exactly.
right? So,
Exactly.
for a reason.
It is the team.
Yeah.
I've been in conversations where it's not even relevant where, what's the name of the company. We're here we're, subject matter experts in our domains, and we're here to provide, especially for enterprises, right? A very complete and complex solution. It's just done a little differently, that provides for all these agility and just no vendor lock-in, right? Where you said, right, if they don't like certain part, they can changing out. Yes, it's not just click of a button. Let's not.
Thankfully.
Not yet.
Let's not, let's not claim that for sure. But it is not also, a 2-year project to change any one component.
Yeah.
And I love that, because that's innovation. And I kind of say, like, it is best of breed. I'm like, we've been pitching best of breed for 30 years. We just didn't have a common language called API now, right? That we can all actually use to communicate. So it's always been a really, really good idea. And it's awesome to see how this community is coming together.
Agreed.
And solving these problems.
Yeah.
I remember walking into meetings when I was with Commerce Tools, and this is pre-Sonia and Matt and Vuckovic, like sitting in a pub in Amsterdam and coming up with the MACH acronym, we'd show up and there'd be architectural diagrams from Lego Express or Burberry or Falabella and Santiago de Chile, where they would have each other's information. So there wasn't a community to support each other. But lo and behold, there was a community. It was just, skunk works and underground. So it's great that we have this forum to be able to support each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So to wrap it up, right, we got to talk a little about the future, right? So what's next? What are all these, changers, movers and shakers on the technology side? What do you think is kind of the next frontier? What's coming up?
Dan, you want to take a crack?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be the new norm, and I think more companies will see the benefits, and it will make more decision makers confident to move to this direction. And I think we will see this movement grow.
Yeah. And you know the story from Dawn Foods, right? And when Bob Howland was brought on as the Chief Digital Officer, and also Girish from a technology perspective, they needed to do something different. KPMG was actually involved in this thought exercise with them so many years ago. And they knew they needed to do something different because Amazon was eating away at their business. This story is very personal to me because I'm the son of a baker who was the son of a baker who was the son of a baker. So I grew up climbing flour bags in Jackson, Michigan at Dawn Food Products.
Wow.
These folks aren't digitally native, right? They have their fingers covered with dough and flour, and they're just, they're working third shift and trying to get through the night. And they recognize that this is a challenge. So Bob and Girish had worked on this. How do we solve for our business, taking a hit? And so they brought on Commerce Tools. They brought on Contentstack, and they took a chance on this. Now, then you fast forward, and today, they had 50% of their customers move to online right away, and they made it really easy for these non-digitally native bakers to order. They had a 10% uplift in online sales versus offline sales, where you'd pick up the phone and you'd call your rep. And the reps would be the ones who handle that. And overall, their business grew by 5%, right?
Wow.
And now a 100-year-old company, is leading the charge in how to innovate and take advantage of these technologies. And so more and more organizations are looking for that level of flexibility because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? We don't know what the global economic situation is going to be. And at least now, with Vue and Actindo and Contentstack and other members, you're prepared.
Yes.
What's your perspective?
I'm still a very much geek at heart. So, I'm very excited for AI. I think that I see that is not new necessarily, right? But it's entering different parts of the stack and different parts of the solution. So I think we'll see more of that, right? As we're really trying to hone in that customer experience, right? We're really trying to be relevant at the right place and right time. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I think, also we're just kind of starting.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
we're just really starting, and the trend is there. There's a lot of proofs, right, in terms of the all of the successful companies on composable, and certainly now it is the norm. We see it everywhere. You mentioned analyst community too, is very much behind it. So I think that that's still very much on the up, and we'll see new use cases, more complex use cases, and so on, and a lot of new tech, new solutions, right?
Yeah.
Like what part of the stack can still be broken down, right, and done better and done more effectively on that side. So, yeah, it's exciting. This is very much a growing community, and we see this every day, both from the service providers and technology providers. So it's amazing to be part of the cool club, right?
It is.
Tech. So anyway, I think any other thoughts here before we wrap it up? Parting thoughts?
Yeah, we get to be astronauts. And everyone else is just screaming at the teacher, raising their hand, saying, I want to do it too, I want to do it too. I'd rather be an astronaut than a pleading child.
Likewise.
We're
Yeah.
headless, we're headless,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, agree. Like that's how I see it as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
The frontiers. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening us last live, and I know this will be recorded as well. So hopefully this conversation was entertaining, insightful, and everybody here at Alliance is always welcome any questions you may have.
Thanks for facilitating.
Yes, thank you guys for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you.
Take care.